Happy Sunday, ladies, and any gents who might be joining me today. I was just laughing before I got on air at how much work it takes behind the scenes, not necessarily in fashion sense, but just mean in terms of fashionably getting ready for a live session. And if you're coming across my live session for the first time, you're probably seeing me on my page. But if you're like, who is this lady? My name is Chico. And my purpose for being here is to talk about the lifestyle lessons I've learned, including about the online digital marketing business world as well. And should you wish to learn more about me, my profile will have a good description. But if you're still curious, then do come back to me and leave a comment. So in terms of like hospitalities, you've landed on the CFM Elite Lifestyle Business Hub for Women, and I'm calling it a club now. Just change it like that, because a club makes it more inclusive and exclusive at the same time. Also, if you are wanting to follow up with like my live broadcasts, do ensure to turn on the notification button, which will be up. I'm looking up as though it's there. But on my Facebook page. So it's taken me a little while to get back here. I was recording probably before the end of the year, going into this new year, and in the background I've been working on other things, such as like creating a podcast specifically for us elite ladies. So elite status is more about your confidence levels and how you exude them or own them in this world. So if you're not there, it's about how you get there. And the topic that I'm going to be talking about today fits in nicely with that. So the topic is on, so what if you fail? What's the worst thing that could happen? And I talked about this specific topic on my podcast as well. And I will drop the link underneath this broadcast as well. As you're checking in, let me know who you are so that I can also acknowledging you for showing up today and for taking out some of your time to listen to me, even if it's just for a few seconds. Okay, so what if you fail? What is the worst thing that could happen? Often, what stops people, and I'll use you as a generic term, you hear me using that a lot. So if it's you, it might be hitting you in their heart to look at making a little bit of change. So why do people fail or perceive failure? I believe failure is only perceived to exist because of trying to impress someone or other people. Otherwise, that word or the mindset wouldn't be in our words. And it's also tied to limiting beliefs from the past as well. So it's what you've heard in your narrative as you were growing up in terms of what failure is and what failure looks like as well. Okay, so what did you hear as part of your narrative growing up about making it or becoming successful? And what did you hear in your narrative about what it means to fail? And where did that word originate from? So the type of things that I wrote on the blog, I'll just read them out to you. The first three questions were, what is the worst thing that can happen aside from truly living and learning from your experience? Okay, how do you know that you have failed at something? How do you know? There must be something there that's been implanted for you to know that you failed at something. And who gets to define it, that it is failure? Who has actually looked at it, examined it, and said you failed? The last time I remember failing was in school. That's how far back it goes. That was like pass or fail. Okay, that was in school. Then how do you know that you have failed at something, linking it to why is it so? And also thinking about who are you surrounded by? Okay, who is in your environment and what kind of key messages or narratives are you all using in that environment? And is it healthy terminology that helps you to look at life outwardly and in a successful and progressive way? Or is it an environment which, when you try to make a success at things, people are almost like screaming like, no, don't go there. Don't do this because you might fail. And when you hear that, is that something that stops you? And when people say, don't do it, oh no, it's like, why would you want to do that? Why are they saying that to you in the first place? Because I believe for somebody to say that to you in the first place, yes, they have your best interest at heart, but sometimes it's also because they are also going through their own self-limiting beliefs. So what I call self-limiting beliefs are things that stop you from progressing further in life. Things that you feel like, yes, you can do them, but then something happens where you just feel like, no, let me go back to like the comfort zone because it feels safe to be in that in that comfort zone. And if you step out of that box, then the likelihood is that you might fail. Yeah, so it's inherited beliefs, and it's also beliefs that you probably have taken into your adulthood, which prevent you from excelling further. Okay, so these are just like some key examples. And then the last question that I posed on the podcast is your true life existence to live a comfortable life? Okay, so imagine like last year happened and you lived a comfortable life. This year is going to happen and Valentine's is going to happen really soon. Valentine's is really going to happen soon. Not that to some people it matters, but thinking about that and then next year, do you enjoy living comfortably in your mind and in terms of obtaining your goals? That if you don't obtain them, then it's fine. If you don't live through your vision, then it's fine. Then nothing in your mind holds you down. Most people, what they experience is, the more they remain in their comfort zone, the more their mind will tell them, you need to do this every single day. You need to do this. And then something else comes up. Or you might regret this in 3 years or 4 years' time if you haven't done this. So the mind is continuously playing those mind games. So do you want to hang on to those mind games, or do you want to be able to step out of that mind game and be able to manage what is happening? You might not be able to control all factors, but you might also be able to live your life purposefully, where you're fully aware what's happening in your mind and you're able to change the way of thinking to a point that you take ownership of your everyday actions as well. So that's what's called living life purposefully. And in terms of failure, when you start to live that type of lifestyle, failure starts to change in terms of the way it looks. Failure shows up as an issue, but then you find solutions. So you become solution focused, and your intended purpose becomes driven by your life purpose, your life vision, and your reason why. Yeah, so sometimes when you feel like you're failing, it's because, or your perceived notion of failure, it's because some of these things that I've just highlighted, like your life purpose, your reason why, your vision, is not very clear. Okay, so when it's not very clear, you may find that you're jumping from one thing to the next, or you might also be somebody who's thrilled at every single opportunity that comes your way, so much so that you are dabbling in 2 or 3 things, hoping that one of them will work, only to find out that none of them are working. Okay, so this brings me to the new buzz, the Bitcoin. Very exciting. Somebody called it or questioned it. Could it be the new invention or the new in thing called gambling? And that gave me not even a deep thought. I just thought, yeah, actually it could be. Because there are people involved in this process who've believed something is not working. They've seen Bitcoin as a new opportunity to leap into because they believed that in their mind frame they failed at something, and this could potentially earn them a quick turnaround. Not everybody, but you find that a lot of people are not well informed and they haven't really specialized in it. They haven't taken the time to complete contingencies and learn inside and out to find out whether it's actually connected to their end goal in life and their life vision. Okay, so there's nothing wrong about picking up new opportunities or projects along the line. It's more about the questioning that goes along with the new opportunities. Because when you grab on into the new opportunities and they don't work, that means that you've diverted from your path, from your life vision. And it's not in tune or in line with how you can successfully and easily navigate through life. You will find that when something is aligned with what you want to achieve, is that you will find that the barriers start to, can I say break? Yeah. You start to jump over, I'll think of like a horse, jumping over loopholes. Yeah, so jumping over, my mind, I'm forgetting things today. So this is like something to do with like my fibro brain, that's what I'll call it. So simple words, sometimes like I forget, but I can see them, I can visualize them, and it just takes me just a little while to come up with the words. So if you see this happening, this is my new normal. Yeah, so jumping through hoops, that's what it's called, jumping through hoops. I've just finally remembered. That's what people will go through, that like experience, is that if you're successful enough, you can jump through hoops. You don't see them as barriers. You just see them as a way of how can you progress on next to the higher loop. And then in between, you're considering what is the solution and how will you get there. Okay, so in terms of failure, you become more proactive, like a project manager in your own life, because you know that there's no such thing as failure. There's only life lessons. So I'm going to see if there's anything else that I noted down as part of my podcast. So one thing as well is about your pain. Is it sufficient enough? Because what I find is people say I've failed in something because they've gone online and tried so many things, and then they've given up before they've even been there for like a month, 2 months, 3 months. They want something to work within a short space of time. When you give up something, that means that your pain is not strong enough. What I mean by that is that the life vision you imagined is kind of like misled, really. Because if you believe that money is going to be the cure of all things and that's it to life, then the likelihood is that your success level might be in short bursts and won't be long-term and sustainable. So the way to plan effectively is to look at your vision. Again, it goes back to your vision, although it seems simplistic. Jim Carrey carried like a check in his pocket for a reason, because he felt something tangible that he could hang on to his dream. So it was a check that he wrote out to himself, and it hung in there for the longest period. So that was a pain factor that reminded him it wasn't about the money, it was about making his acting career a success. Okay, so what is your vision? What is your legacy? What do you want to be able to leave behind in order for others to remember you by? Because nobody's going to remember you for your fancy car, your fancy house. They're going to remember you for your heart, for what you gave back, and for what they learned from you. That's what's going to matter the most, because the material things, over time, they can crumble, they can deteriorate, and they can become non-existent. Money is only a solution to get you to a minimal solution to get you to your vision, but it's not the overall objective at all. As part of pursuing your vision, the likelihood is that you will attract like for like, and the more you give back, the likelihood is that you will receive abundance in return. So I hope this all makes sense. So if you're going into like a new opportunity and you're thinking, I want to help my family, I want to go to exotic islands. I want to be like on the plane every time, have like a laptop lifestyle. And in 1 month down the line, you decide, I'm going to quit something you've tried. Then everything that you've said actually didn't mean anything. It didn't mean that you had like a pinpoint in your stomach. Your vision is not painful enough for you to want to wake up every day to try something that's aligned with your values, your core values, and something that's aligned with your reason why, your purpose and your vision. Okay, so if it's not strong enough, you will quit over and over again. Okay, but if it's strong enough, then you'll find out, regardless of whether you have money or not, you will still be driven, and you will believe that you are building your empire, which won't take seconds to build, but it will be like Rome not being built overnight. It will be something that you will build over a long-term period, and accept that there is growth. You're adding more roots, you're adding more branches to your legacy, and you're leaving something that is going to be long-lasting and sustainable as well, because it would have impacted so many other people along the way. That is what ultimately leaves us fulfilled in life. Okay, so I'm going to end here before I continue talking and talking and talking. So on this platform, I've been very mindful to build it slowly for a reason. Yeah, because I just didn't want to like be inviting every single person just for the sake of finding people to come and listen to something. The reason I'm doing it slowly is for a purpose, is to attract like for people who find value in what I have to share, and for people who invite themselves into my house as such, rather than me forcing them to come into like my house. That's not how I would want to live at all. So if you're coming across me on any other pages, feel free. If you feel like my house or the club is an environment for you to grow, and an environment for you to also contribute to add yourself, as well as to share with other people who you believe could value from being in the house. Yeah, so in the elite status house, which is an environment to let us women grow. And if you're a gent and you've been listening, I thank you. Okay. Okay, so leave comments and introduce yourself. And just like I would do in my home, I welcome you. And then I'll also greet you back as well. So bye for me for now. Until next time.